Today's just going to be story time. We've been busy. I've been busy. Vin's been busy. Well, Vin's always busy. We haven't put up as much shit. Again, though, we don't do all this to get a gazillion fucking followers and all this other bullshit. We put videos up as we can. It is what it is. We don't have a set schedule. We don't have any of that type of shit. Either sub and like it and comment and share it, or don't, right? Either way, we're okay. So he's been trying to put up as much shit as he can. He had the comp. He's been putting up videos of that, which is awesome. I know he's disappointed on coming into third, but he's fucking 20 years older than all the other guys that are there. I'd say he did pretty fucking good. So if you haven't seen the videos on Vin doing the strongman competition, he has those up on the page. Go in and watch that shit. It's pretty fucking impressive. That being said, I didn't put a lot of videos up lately. I'm still training, still doing my thing, always. But today I wanted to kind of touch more on what comes from all of this, in my personal opinion. This doesn't happen for everyone, I'm sure. This is just my own personal story time. This is how it worked for me. So I'm a big believer in you get out what you put in. I always say that. And for fucking years and years and years, I didn't put in shit, right? My mentality was the one of, fuck it. If you say I can't do it, I won't even try to do it. That was always my mentality, my entire life. That's where me and Vin big time differ, you know. You tell Vin he can't do it, even if he doesn't want to fucking do it, he goes and does it just to prove you wrong. He's just, that was been his mentality his entire life. I didn't have that. So I've been at this about a year and a half. And the reason I'm saying all this is because I believe that working out and training and getting my health right and getting everything right is why things more or less start to fall into place. Again, not for everyone, I'm sure. I'm sure you can be working out hardcore and then have a brain tumor or whatever. Sure, that happens. I'm just saying for me personally, I've been at this about a year and a half. I feel the best I've ever felt. I look the best I've ever looked, right? And I love it. And I don't cheat on it, and I don't fuck up often. So why do I say all this? So I've been eating shit, I feel like, right, for 2 years. You know, I had a really good job and everything was going good, and then in the blink of an eye, that all went away. No fault to my own. Company got smaller. It was a family-owned company. I wasn't part of that family, so odd man out, I guess. Whatever. Plus, I would run my mouth. I'm not going to lie. I would say, you know, this isn't right and that isn't right, and maybe I was right, maybe I was wrong. Doesn't matter because the end result's the same. So in doing that, you know, I leave that job and I'm bouncing from fucking job to job, and it sucks, especially when you think you have the job that you might be at for the rest of your life. So I'm scraping the fucking barrel, doing whatever I got to do. You know, thank God I have a wife who basically supports me in whatever I want to do and makes a lot of fucking money. And on top of all that, I'm training my balls off. I'm trying to get into shape. I'm trying to get in the best health that I can be in. I end up coming across a job that I end up applying for on a fucking long shot, right? It's a juvenile correctional officer. I'm like, yeah, I'll apply to this. I'm sure they're not going to call me. I'm not. All the qualifications they have in there, I didn't have any of it. But I threw the app in anyway. They end up calling me. So they call me in for an interview. I come in for the interview, and I'm immediately depleted because I'm met with a guy who tells us there's 5 of you. It's a group interview. We're going to walk around the entire facility and ask questions or whatever, and that's how the interview is going to go. So I'm not a great fucking interviewer to begin with. So I'm already like, fuck me. Not to mention, I'm always hard on myself by appearance, right? By appearance and how people view you and all of that. I know you shouldn't be, but my entire life, at no one's fault but my own. My entire life, I was judged by appearance, right? I looked like a gangbanger and a gangster as a teenager and into my 20s, and I did nothing to stop that, right? I wore fucking 10 chains and a ring on every finger and was into other shit, right? So I didn't do anything to help matters. Not to mention my attitude and my demeanor and everything that came along with that look, they weren't wrong, okay? So every way I got judged in every way, maybe not every single time in every fucking way, 9 times out of 10, they were probably right. My whole demeanor and way of thinking didn't really start to change until I was around 30, so almost a decade ago. And then once I got heavy into like working out and everything, that changed my, I don't want to say motivation, that changed my drive. That kind of changed my drive on not just fitness, but kind of everything. So, all right, we're back to the interview, right? So I'm sitting there and we're waiting for one more guy, they said. As I'm sitting there, I'm texting my wife. And I'm telling her, I have no chance. I have no fucking chance. I'm here with 4 other guys. One guy's in a fucking suit. You know, I came straight from work for this interview. One dude's jacked, right? Now, I look better than the other ones, just not that guy. None of them have tattoos. None of them nothing. So I'm like, fuck. I ain't getting this shit. So as I'm waiting, you know, my wife's texting me and she's like, you got this. Like, fuck them. You got this. Be you. And you'll do fine. And I don't know, those quick little words, like, I'm like, you know what? She's fucking right. You know, fuck them. I'm going to dominate this shit. And I did. So we're walking through doing the interview, and one thing I will say I am really, really good at, or 2 things for that matter. I'm really good at reading people, and I'm very observant. Maybe it's things I've done earlier in life that made me that way, but well, either way, it stuck with me. And as we're walking, I'm basically reading the room, right? I'm seeing these other guys gearing up to ask a question. So before they could, I would jump in. I'm not cutting them off or anything, but before they would even do it, I would jump in and I would ask a question. Whether it's the same fucking question they were going to ask or not, don't know, don't care. And I kept doing that throughout the whole interview, to where it got to the point where the interviewers, there was 2 of them, wouldn't even go to them and ask if they had a question. They would go right to me. Like, you know, do you have a question about that? So I knew I had them. So we end the interview. I go home. I immediately get called. And they're like, hey, they fucking love you. They want you. They're offering you the position. I was fucking stoked. You know, it's double the pay of what I make right now, plus pension and yada, 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 and all this other good shit. So it was a great opportunity. So I was stoked. And I'm like, fuck yeah, like, I accept the job, yada, yada, yada. So now we're doing all the paperwork, and anyone who knows, like, anything about, like, corrections or anything, dude, you sign your life away, almost, right? The amount of fucking paperwork and physicals and shots and this and that and credentials and going and getting this and going and getting that, it's a lot. But I didn't care. I was ready to rock and roll. So I go through a bunch of shit, and then they end up fucking calling me and saying, we have to take the offer back. And I was devastated. And I asked why, and they said, you know, you don't have a diploma or a GED. And I didn't. I had no one's fault but my own. So I was fucking devastated. So they basically told me, like, hey, if you go and get it, you know, maybe we can revisit it. So I'm like, okay. So, you know, I hang up with them, and I'm thinking, like, another opportunity that I myself pissed away, that I myself fucked up by 3 years earlier, just not getting my fucking shit together and, like, listening to my mother and just finishing school at the very least. Couldn't even fucking do that, right? So, yeah, my mentality has changed a lot, and my drive has changed a lot with the working out. I almost 1,000% credit that. But I went into like a 2-3 day funk from this. Now, I'm not really a person who is depressed often or any of that kind of shit. But I was like, I was almost like feeling sorry for myself, which I fucking hate doing. But at the same time, it's like you start to weigh everything. You're like, man, I just keep eating shit. I guess I'll just continue to keep eating shit. And you almost do kind of get used to it. And I went like that for a day or two. And it's important to surround yourself with good people. I say that often as well. Because you surround yourself with good people, and they're going to give you good advice. And what I say about good people is not yes men, not anything like that, but guys who will almost build you up in a way, even if you don't deserve it, right? But good examples of that is I got a buddy Nove, who's the ultimate hype man. I always joke that no better hype man in the business than Nove. You can tell this motherfucker anything, and he will come back with the most over-the-top hype that you can imagine. I remember when I got into the fitness whole thing and I started lifting heavy and doing all that, he sent me fucking messages like, you're basically Arnold now. You're basically the Hulk now. And that doesn't stop. Like, he'll still do that shit. He'll text me last week, you basically should just go and be in the WWE because you look just like those guys. Just random. It's funny, and we laugh about it, but it's good to have a guy like that. You know what I mean? Because it's not like he's doing phenomenal in his life. There's a million fucking things that he would want to change in his life, and he doesn't even work out or do any of that. So it's not like we're in that same realm and we're pushing each other. No. He's literally he has zero reason to shoot me a text and say, hey, don't fucking skip your workout today. Go downstairs, kick ass, because that's what you do, and that's why you look like the Hulk. He'll say shit like that. And it's the right kind of people you want to surround yourself with, because it's zero benefit to him. It's zero benefit to him to say that. He gets nothing out of it. But that's the kind of people you want to surround yourself with, not the kind of people that are, why me, all that kind of bullshit, just negative. Like, yeah, you probably shouldn't even try to do that because you probably can't. And there's been plenty of people around me like that throughout my life, and around all of yous, I'm sure. So don't surround yourself with people like that. So anyway, back to, I don't know, day 2, day 3 of feeling sorry for myself. So during those 2 or 3 days, I had people in my corner, good people, my wife, my brother, telling me, like, listen, why don't you just, Rach said it first. She's like, why don't you just get your GED? Like, go get your fucking GED quick and just get it over with. And yeah, that opportunity might be gone, but do you really want to face this again a year down the road, 2 years down the road? And Vince said the same thing. Vince said it one day, and he's like, dude, just go fucking get it. Just go get it and get it out of the fucking way. And I just said, yeah, maybe. And I didn't bring it up again to him, but one thing about Vin is, like, he won't let it go. He won't let it go. For better or for worse. So, like, 2 days goes by, and he texts me, did you handle that? Like, did you, like, figure it out? Go get it. And then I text him bullshit again, like, yeah, I don't know. I might fucking do it. I might not. And 2 days later, you get a text from Vin. Fucking handle that. Like, go just take care of it, bang it out quick. You got it. It's no sweat. So then I did. So I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. Like, I did the opposite of what I would normally do, right? So pre-fitness, being so disciplined on that, Chris would have been like, fuck that. I'm not doing it. I'll just continue on, and whatever comes. But I didn't do that this time. So I call the GED center. I basically tell them, like, listen, I haven't been in school in 20 plus years. I wasn't a fucking rock star when I was there. As far as academics, I was below average. And I'm expressing that to them. I'm like, I don't feel like I could just walk in there today, take this fucking test, and pass it. So they end up telling me about this program. You can sign up to this program. It can take you 6 months to do it, or it can take you a month to do it. Basically depends on how much time you're willing to put in to the whole thing. But at the end of it, they actually give you a diploma. It doesn't say, GED or whatever. It actually says diploma. I still call it a GED. I didn't earn it the way most of you guys did, right? So we'll call it a GED for the sake of the fucking video. But I end up signing up. You know, I talked to my wife about it. I'm like, listen, you're right. I should just fucking do this and get it over with so it's not hanging over me anymore. And I do it. I sign up. I text Vin. I let him know. I'm like, dude, I fucking signed up to this. I'm going to do whatever I have to do. Like, because I'm going to do the opposite of everything I usually do. Because that shit don't work. I'm going to do the opposite. And again, surround yourself with good people. Because then Vin's like, fucking A. Like, fucking A. You're doing what you need to fucking do. I end up grinding. Right? And this is why I didn't put up many videos. I end up grinding 7-8 hours a day on this fucking program. You know, I'm waking up and I'm jumping right on and I'm fucking grinding out 7 hours, 8 hours. And then on top of that, you know, going and training and then going to work and then life on top of it, right? So yeah, I was getting a little drained from all of it, but at the same time, it's like, fucking who cares, right? Get through it, because there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Whether that light is getting that juvenile correctional job again or just something better than what I was doing. I wasn't happy with what I was doing. So I get through the entire program. I fly through it in around a month. And I get my diploma or GED or whatever. I get that on a Monday, right? I had every intention of letting that company know, with the small thought in my head of, they're not going to fucking care, right? I'm sure they've moved on, they've gotten other guys, whatever. So I had every intentions that week to letting them know. So I get my GED that Monday, and out of nowhere, I get a call that Tuesday. It's funny because my buddy Tony had mentioned when they had called me and just basically said, hey, by chance did you end up going and getting your GED? And I'm like, that's funny that you called, because I literally just received it yesterday. And they were like, awesome. Like, we want to offer you the job again right now on the spot. No interview, no nothing. Just pick up where we left off. And I was fucking stoked, right? And then I remember telling Tone, like, yeah, they fucking, you know, they called me and offered me the job again. And it just so happened to be, like, on the anniversary of my brother Jamie passing. That was the 10th. Sorry. And I didn't even put, like, all of that together either. Like, I didn't think of the date. And I know that might sound weird. You know, people are like, you didn't think of the date that your brother passed? I mean, it's like, dude, he's on my mind all day, every day. Like, you can't see this, but I have a fucking shrine to the guy right here. You know, I have the Munson Shrine. Yeah, now let me get this shit right. Anyway, so yeah, the dates don't really, I don't fucking care about the date, right? The guy's on my mind at all times. But yeah, it just so happened to be like the anniversary of that. And Tone had mentioned that. He's like, it's the odds of that. Like, you know, Munson gave you a gift, right? And hey, maybe, you know, believe what you want to believe or don't, right? It changes nothing, right? It just, it clicked when Tone said that. And I'm like, fuck, no. Today is that day. And I remember earlier in that day texting Mom and telling her, like, hey, I got my GED and I ended up getting this really good job opportunity. And at the time, I didn't think of the date of being April 10th, the day Jane passed. I just wanted to tell her, you know, it's my mom. And she was ecstatic, you know, she was very happy, very proud, as a mom would be, right? Especially with someone like, you know, I was a fuck up forever. And after Tone had mentioned the date, I'm like, fuck, man, that makes me feel even better, because I'm sure my mom was down that day, you know. She probably didn't wake up feeling the greatest because of the day. So I was happy to think that maybe I made her smile for a minute that day, of all days. Anywho, so yeah, I ended up getting that, and I was stoked, and I feel like you get what you put in. So going back to that, Had I not found this fitness thing and dove so hard into it, I've only done that once before, and that was with guitar and music. But besides music and learning the guitar and learning all the aspects of music and music writing and all of that, I never dove into anything like that. I would go, the year give 110%, I go about 40. Just good enough for who it's for. That was my method. So I never dove into anything besides guitar, and I got pretty decent on that. So once I found fitness and that kind of was like resonate with me, and I started to really, really, really love it, I dove into that really hard. But the difference between guitar and now, you got to be disciplined on guitar too. You got to be disciplined on practicing and all that shit that comes along with that. But being a better guitar player, it isn't going to help my health, right? It doesn't make me a better person. So I feel like being healthier and being super fucking disciplined in fitness does make me a better person. Because not only did I jump into the fitness thing and go really, really hard on that, on trying to better my overall appearance and my health and everything else, I was trying to change my mentality completely. And when you're trying to do that, and you're trying to think differently and act differently and be kinder and be less irritable and all of those things, you're not sure if any of that's working until you're faced with something to where you would be like, well, fuck, normally I would go left, but today I went right. And that's what happened with that entire story that I just fed up to you. Normally I would have went left and said, fuck it, I guess I'll just go and be, I don't know, a fucking store clerk or whatever I'd have to be. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but for me personally, I always wanted like more, but never wanted to be disciplined enough or try hard enough to go and get more. That's where me and Vin, again, we differ. Vin is 110% pretty much all the time. The guy has one fucking mode, and I'm kind of starting to understand that, right? And he does this and has that mode because he's not a selfish person. He's selfless, really. He has one goal, and that's like to better his family and himself as a whole. And dude provides and does everything else that he has to do, whether he's fucking tired or sore or ripped his fucking muscle from his arm. Like, the dude just keeps going. And there's people like that who inspire, right? Vin's one of them. Another one that I've said numerous times. I used to have a podcast, I don't know, a couple years ago. And I always said that I really, really, really admire my buddy Steve. I admire the way he carries himself as a man, right? Always kind. Like, he's always fucking kind. And it always threw me off. I'm like, how can this dude just, even in the worst of moments, he could be kind and almost kill you with kindness to where you can't even be mad at the guy. You know what I mean? And it's like, how many situations have we all been in to where it might be something stupid, where somebody fucking shoulder checks you going into a store. Maybe it was on purpose, maybe it was on accident, but the way I would react is the way I would react. The way Steve would react would be, he'd kill that guy with kindness, whether that guy purposely did it or not. By the end of that interaction with Steve, that guy would be apologizing to him. Not out of fear, not out of anything. Out of just, he's a nice fucking guy. Just the way he carries himself is the way you want to carry yourself. And it's the way I always wanted to carry myself, but it just wasn't me, right? I had a lot of growing up to do, which is part of the reason why it wasn't me. Anywho, I feel like I'm slowly making strides to getting there and taking the right steps to just trying to be a fucking decent human. But at the end of the day, I feel like that's all I personally want, besides, like, family, health, the obvious shit. I want to be a decent human. I want people to look at me as like a decent human, like he's decent. But anyway, so the whole fitness thing, I feel like it all ties together. I really do. I feel like you start getting your health under control, whether that's diving hardcore into lifting and fitness and all that, or just getting your health under control. Just maybe eating a little bit better, getting your diet under control. You don't have to lift and be jacked and all of this other shit. get some kind of program going, whether it's just some cardio, some walking outside. The weather's about to break. Plenty of opportunity to go and just take a 30-minute walk every day, or have that salad instead of the bag of chips, right? You don't have to kill yourself in the gym, especially if you're older and maybe you don't move the way you used to. Go for a walk. Have a fucking salad and a piece of chicken. You don't need the half bag of Doritos and the Law and Order marathon that's on all day, every fucking day, for clearly the rest of our lives. So yeah, that was just like a little story time of, for one, why we haven't been uploading. Well, I haven't been uploading a shit ton lately, because now I'm back into the thick of getting ready to start that, and again, clearances and this and that, and you gotta do a lot for the job. But I feel like at the end of the day, it's going to be worth it. I know anyone who knows me, anybody I've told, like, I was just told Fallon a couple days ago about the job and all that, and she was stoked. She's like, that's perfect for you. That's perfect for you because you love kids, and I do. And I had run-ins. I was a problem child. I was a problem teen. I almost went to these kind of places. I was lucky enough to get out, or kind of dip and dodge, fucking landing in a place that I'm about to work at. But I know how I responded to authority, and how if the guy was a dick to me, I immediately would shut down and be like, fuck him, fuck you. And I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be that way. I knew I responded really well to the guy who just seen me as a fucking human being, and not a little prick and a little fuck up, and the type of guy who looks at you like, I had a friend growing up where his dad would always just be on my fucking ass and constantly basically just tell you you're nothing. He would constantly say, you're going fucking 99 Water Street. That's what he'd say to me all the time. And anyone who knows, I know you're not from this area, every single person, 99 Water Street's the county jail here. And he'd constantly say that to me. You're a fucking criminal. You're going 99 Water Street. So you hear that enough times, eventually you're like, yeah, probably gonna fucking end up 99 Water Street. Well, so far so good. 39 years, still haven't been there. But I was on my way. He wasn't wrong about that. I was absolutely on my way. But I also had people who would just see me for who I was and a human, and they knew that once they peeled layers back, they were like, hey, there's a decent fucking kid in here with decent morals. Those were the kind of people I would respond to. So I am going to go into the job trying to be that guy, because I think being the hard ass and doing all that, I don't think teenagers respond to that at all. Not to mention, I mean, some of these kids, they're in for serious shit. It's not just Grand Theft Auto. You got attempted murder, shit like that. So you need to peel the layers back and approach it differently than just being a fucking prick. Fair and firm. That's how you should do it. So that's how I'm going to do it. But yeah, telling Fallon about it, she's like, it's perfect for you. I think that, you'll thrive in that situation, and I hope so. Or maybe I do it and I fucking hate it, right? But the fact that I'm doing it is all the difference, because before I wouldn't even have done it. I wouldn't have done any of this. I wouldn't have grinded the last month the way that I did to get any of this done. I would have just gave up and kept it moving. And I definitely contribute fitness and being so disciplined and working out to all of that. That being said, the last 2 months or so, I've been helping a buddy who just hasn't been feeling well. He hasn't been feeling good, and he's been saying that for a long time, that he just doesn't feel good. He goes to the doctor or whatever, and they basically just say you're fine, as many do. But he knew, like, inside he wasn't feeling good. Whether that was depression or whatever it was, I'm not qualified to deal with that, but I think it was a mixture of things. I think it was a mixture of very poor diet, very poor exercise regimen. He had zero exercise, and depression mixed in. And, like, that's a cocktail of not good. You drink that cocktail long enough, it's going to affect you long term. It started to affect him long term. So yeah, he reached out to me, and he's a super close friend of mine, one of my best friends. He reached out to me and was basically just like, can you help me? Can you give me like just an idea on how to do it, where to go from here, blah, blah, blah. And absolutely I would. So he comes over, we end up, going through workout and just showing him a bunch of shit, showing him a lot of things that he could just do at home. He works heavy hours, so he was on some, I'm going to buy some weights, I'm just going to do the home thing kind of like you do. And I'm like, yeah, cool, whatever works. And being right now that your output is zero, literally anything is better than what you're doing. So he dove in, he got a bunch of weights, and he learned a bunch of the workouts that I was showing him. He got his diet under control. He was serious about taking his creatine every day, as he still does. He takes his protein every day, as he still does, hits his protein marks. He's eating much cleaner. He's about a month and a half into all of it. I haven't talked to him in a couple days because I've been busy with all this shit. But he doesn't skip. He doesn't skip days, man. And I'm proud of him for that. And I basically just let him know that it's not going to be overnight, because nothing is. 6 months from now, I'm curious on how he feels and I mean, I know he's going to feel good, but I'm curious on how he expresses that feeling, right? And I think that continuing down the fitness path that he's going right now, the rest of the shit that he's got going on, that I'm obviously not going to say on here, but the rest of the shit that he's got going on, I think is going to start to fall into place, personally. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I'm not a psychiatrist, but we'll see. In the meantime, just remember, you're not your goals. You're your habits, right? Remember that shit. Yeah, we have our goals, but you are your habits. So if your habit is drinking every other day and eating like dog shit, but working out 4 days a week, and you think that that's going to change it, and you still look like shit, and you're like, I don't understand why I still look like shit. And it's like, well, your habits are fucking horrendous. That's why. Start taking some of those goals that you have and making those your habits, and I guarantee you your result is different.